This week, I wanted to hear your thoughts on what inspires you to create your manga comic or light novel. I got some amazing responses and I can't wait to share them with all of you today. Also, I am so pleased and excited to announce that I now have 10,000 subscribers, so thank you all so much. Thank you so much for coming with me on this journey and supporting my videos and watching my videos. It always makes me so grateful to see all of the amazing manga creations you guys are doing, and I look forward to being able to continue this manga creating journey with you and make many more videos dedicated to helping you turn your manga into a masterpiece. For this special video, I wanted to ask you, what inspires you to create your mangas, comics, and novels? So Toby Draws 535 on Instagram says, all my OCs mean a lot to me. I haven't made a manga yet because I want to do it traditionally and time. I really agree. I think my OCs are probably the most important part to me about my manga. Lord Draws 99 says, anime fights or good romance. A great anime fight is always very inspiring. Next we have this one from Charlie Ray on YouTube. It says, sometimes the idea comes to me. Sometimes I get inspired by concepts mentioned in movies. Other times it's literally a fanfic, like the story in my head right now. Man Behind the Red Star says, the opportunity of having my story to coexist with the other great ones and touch readers' hearts. I think that's a really beautiful thing about creating something too. It's also the thing that I think really makes it mean the most. When you create a story, and even if one person likes it and enjoys it and it touches their hearts, I think that's a truly beautiful thing. Battle Chi Comics says, a young boy's dream of having people enjoy my stories. The young boy being me at the time. Rush Draws says, putting my feelings into that novel, whether fantasy or not, it shares the experiences of real life. And that's definitely true. I think creating a manga or a story is a great way to really show your own experiences to other people and for other people to be able to read your book and feel like they can connect to it because they have experienced something similar. Artful Kit says, I want to be proud of a project that I work very hard on, and that's a very realistic goal. I really applaud you for that because it's very important to work on something that you are proud of the most, regardless of what other people think of it. Artist YR Official says, my culture inspires me. I think culture is a really great aspect to include in manga because even though manga is mainly from Japan and focuses on Japanese life and cultures, I'd really love to see more manga that focus on different cultures and different lifestyles outside of Japan. And I think there are so many opportunities out there to do that with your own creations. Sarnok says, what inspires me is certain periods in history, aviation, as well as my favorite artists. Jerry Chia Desert says, the world and the way I see people react to situations. It's almost story-like. It's Blue ML says, I got inspired from my friend. She writes short stories in her notes and she convinces me to try writing one. You have a very supportive friend. That's really good because not all friends are that supportive. There's a lot of people who may be discouraging. So I'm so happy for you that your friend is so encouraging to your stories and motivates you to continue to create more stories. Con1788 says, sometimes my dreams, but mostly my surroundings, to be honest. Pearl0202 says, seeing other people working hard and succeeding. It's really encouraging. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, that's one of my favorite things about having this YouTube channel with all of you. Seeing the way all of you are succeeding and making amazing manga creations is the most motivating thing of all. I really love seeing and being able to encourage what you guys are creating. Feek2D says, to create a compelling and enjoyable story that I can share with my future audience. Bloodwolf SSBU says, profit to support my family, and that's very important too. It can be very difficult to make a profit as a manga creator too, but I do have some videos on being able to actually make a living as a manga or comic artist, which I recommend you check out. But Bloodwolf SSBU, I definitely agree. It's very important to find many ways to make a profit. Nobound Collins says, creating a connection and bond with millions through my ideas and illustrations. And Kulikova says, well, for a project I'm working on now, it was this picture of sushi with a color palette. I made a character with these colors and then I thought of a backstory and then the story. I figured it would be cool to have magical people based on different foods. Cinematic Integrity says, to help the medium of Western American comics and manga be treated like our film industry. I think it's a really great goal actually because The manga and comics, well, more so manga. A lot of people look down on manga as if it's something bad for some reason. It's more people that don't really understand what it is. I'd love it if manga and comics became more popularized and lots of more people would enjoy it because it's such an amazing creative medium, and I'd love to see many more people also finding out ways to express themselves through it. Boyvense Ansed says, every day in morning and night I work on my novel. Maybe just 2 weeks ago I was highly dismotivated by my writing style, by my English. I always used to stay afraid to write a word in a novel, but one day, without any reminder, I began to write something on Word, and soon I finished the first chapter of my novel. It had bad writing, but that's when I learned that the first draft isn't always the last draft. And I really relate to what you said about how the first draft is definitely not the last draft. When I first started creating manga, I created some very poorly written manga, but it's the first times I've done it. And so as you continue to create things, whether it be in mangas or novels, the first time you do it, it might not be very good, and that's okay. It's okay to make mistakes and learn and grow from those mistakes, because if you don't make mistakes, you're never going to learn, you're never going to get better. So you need to try new things and be willing to make mistakes, because that is the way that you can improve into a better author. So the series style says, Vegeta helped me with suicide thoughts. He never gave up, and I hope to provide that same inspiration. And you know, I'm so relieved that you found that support through Vegeta and through Dragon Ball, and using it to help you never give up, because that's such an important thing. And I'm so glad you never gave up and you're still here and you're still creating, and I really look forward to seeing all the amazing things you create. Harry Sumi says, music and sometimes random stuff in my daily life, the water in a cup or the color of a pillow. I love that. I love that you're taking inspiration from daily life through the things that you're seeing every single day. The Rogue Sage says, the art of storytelling itself. I'm in the midst of making a battle shonen with a female protagonist. It's actually hard now that I'm trying to do it and deciding what tropes I want to use for my advantage in my story, though I'm in the draft of going through all my arcs before I actually start writing my first chapter. I want to see my protagonist grow as a character. My protagonist Taita is a mixture of me and my little sister representing the optimistic side of her character and me representing the dark side of her character. In a way, while I'm going through my arcs, I think it's making me grow too, and that's what's keeping me motivated. Thank you so much for sharing. I really love to hear that. It's so interesting to hear when people take aspects of their daily life and are able to merge it with their characters as well. So thank you for sharing, and best of luck with your manga. It sounds very, very cool. And you come home on Twitter. Mostly what inspires me is the feeling I'll get when I finish the story and how I would feel reading it again in the future, and how I think the readers would react to the story I made. Green Golem Art says, I just want to make people feel fantastic about living. That's a really beautiful goal. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Ediave says, I would say that I'm most inspired by other people's works. Take your favorite comic and think about how passionate that makes you feel. The love towards the characters and the interest in the story and all the other feelings you feel while reading. Being able to share your thoughts and feelings through your work is amazing, but also reading other works and understanding when the creator tries to embody through the story is great. Cinderella Reverse Syndrome says, often a song or sometimes something random like a music video. Let's see, Esper Anime says, for us it's out of necessity. Inspiration is too unreliable. Knowing these three truths. 1, we want creative work. 2, we want to express ourselves. And 3, we want to empower and thrill our audience however we can is enough for us. This one from Ryan Lee Rutherford, and it says, I just enjoy living in my own little world sometimes. My writing and drawing let me escape the stress I feel in life and create something I can be proud of. Not to mention it lets me develop skills that I can also be proud of. Kathy Patrick says, I like to tell stories and make art. Combine the two, even better. I find I enjoy making something out of nothing with a creative mind. Lately I've been trying to get better at both storytelling and art so I can feel ready to make my manga. As for what inspires me, it can be a scene from a book or movie, a type of character, or usually it's the emotions a character has and how it connects to real people through the story. I just love the art styles and way of paneling in manga so much. It fits my way of expressing myself in the stories I create. It relieves my stress by diving into my own little world so I can forget about my troubles in the world for a bit. Monet Jenkins says, it's difficult to say this only because it was my reality 7 years ago. I was faced with tragic things pertaining to my artwork. My 2 younger sisters would raid my room, destroy my artwork, and litter it along the floor for me to find when I came home. I cried so much my eyes swelled. The disconnect with them was a constant reminder that these 2 sisters hated me and my art. They would tell me I was a failure at art and I believed it for so long until I left that situation. Only then did I regain my confidence to draw again. I draw now with an enlightened heart. I take inspiration from my life and the life of those who inspire me to be a better person. I stay motivated from my life experiences, and even though I went through a lot of heartache, I know art saved me from trauma, and in many ways it healed me too. That's really beautiful, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. That's horrible. It's really sad that sometimes family can be also really toxic and mistreat the things that you care about the most. I'm so glad though that you never give up on art and you continue to do it, because I think that's such a beautiful thing, and I'm so happy that it was able to heal you from difficult past experiences as well. Thank you very much for sharing. Next we have this one from Javier Justicia. It says, growing up as a reluctant reader, there were many comic books, graphic novels, and manga that I enjoyed. Anime Board Gamers says, I write to tell stories so the fans can relate to the characters and take them in their hearts wherever they may go in life, because life is short and full of special temporary moments that we all cherish. And what's really amazing about that too is the fact that there's so many moments in life where they seem like fleeting moments. At the time, they don't really seem that important or special, but later on when you're looking back on memories, sometimes those fleeting moments are the most important memories of all. Natalia says, this may seem weird and I don't know how to put it down in words, but I used to use my imagination when I was young when playing with my brothers, and I used to create games and stories where we represent the character and walk through the story using our imagination and acting skills. Since then, I had that motivation to actually transfer these stories to actual novel/manga, and currently I am working on one of them. That sounds a lot like improvisation actually. That's really cool. Dragon Killer 89 says the universe. Actually, most of my novel ideas have something to do with the stars. For example, I often use the universe or components of it as the core power source for my stories. Neftali Albert says, what inspired me to create my manga is representing Haitian-centered characters and culture in a positive way without using voodoo. I look at Marvel Comics and the Haitian characters are using voodoo as their powers, and I don't want to see that in my own characters, so I turn to Haitian history and look at the Haitian Revolution. That is so interesting, and as I mentioned earlier in this video, I love it when creators focus on showing the different cultures in realistic ways, because there's so many really interesting cultures throughout the world, and I think manga and stories and writing is a really great medium to be able to show that culture and bring it to a wider audience, because there's many people that don't know about these different cultures. So allowing people to experience it through storytelling is a really beautiful thing. Hidden Ghost says, this might be a weird one, but bad stories, or stories that had potential and then crash and burn. That's what made me want to tell my own stories. Not that mine are superior in any way, but I thought I'd give it a shot. I sort of, if this person could do it, then maybe I could try too. Ivan Rodriguez says, it came to me randomly. I was listening to a song and suddenly I visualized it as an anime opening, and it just had the entire idea in my head. Storm says, my friends, you and other manga creators inspired me to bring my imagination to life. So as we discovered in this video, there's many ways to gain inspiration for creating a manga or comic, and it was so amazing to hear what inspires you when you are creating your projects, because I think every person's project is beautiful and unique, and just understanding how everyone feels motivated and inspired to create more is such a wonderful thing. So thank you, all of you, for sharing your thoughts and inspirations for this video. I was so happy to see all of the messages all of you sent me, so thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing what you guys will create next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!